Hey, everyone. Always running around, got to make the most of every minute. Right.
Right.
Well, that's what we're diving into today, turning those dead time
Oh,
moments
yeah.
into what we call alive time.
Hmm.
And you might be surprised who totally rocked this, even in some pretty crazy situations.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from a book that
Ah,
breaks it all down, uses some really interesting historical examples. It's a real mind shift, I'm telling you.
it is. It's interesting how these ideas
Yeah.
that seem like totally new, revolutionary,
Right.
are often like rooted in history.
Yeah.
Like that Parisian slogan, Vive sans temps mort,
Okay.
live without wasted time. It kind of perfectly sums up what we're looking at here.
Okay. But uh, for those of us not fluent in French philosophy,
Sure.
break down this dead time versus alive time thing.
Right. So the author, Robert Greene, he says dead time is like when you're just,
Yeah.
passively waiting around,
Mhm.
letting time just pass you by.
Right.
But alive time, that's different.
Right.
It's about using every second actively,
Okay.
for learning, growing,
Yeah.
pushing yourself forward.
Okay.
And here's the thing, you always have that choice
Right.
in every single situation.
Wow.
Whether it's something you chose or something that just landed in your lap, you know what I mean?
So it's not just about like having free time.
Right.
It's about how you use any time,
Exactly.
even when things aren't ideal.
Yep.
That's pretty powerful if you think about it.
It is. And one of the most powerful examples in the book is
Yeah.
Malcolm X. Talk about making the most of a bad situation.
Right. Because before he became, the iconic Malcolm X, he
Right.
was known as Detroit Red.
Yeah.
A career criminal, ended up in prison for 10 years
Wow.
when he was only 21.
Yeah.
Most people would say, well, that's wasted time right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But instead of letting prison break him,
Yeah.
Malcolm X chose a lifetime.
Hmm.
He could have just sat there, feeling sorry for himself. But no,
Yeah.
he decided to use that time for like some
Mhm.
serious self-improvement.
And he didn't mess around. Right.
No, no.
It wasn't just like casual reading.
Right.
This was hardcore dedication.
Yeah.
Didn't he start by reading the entire dictionary?
He did, cover to cover.
Wow.
And get that he even copied it out by hand.
Wow. That's intense.
Right. That's how determined he was
Yeah.
to like expand his vocabulary, his world,
Yeah.
And he just kept going. History, sociology, religion, classic literature,
Yeah.
philosophy, everything. He devoured it all.
I always think about that quote from him. It just blows my mind. He said, "From then until I left that prison, in every free moment I had, if I was not reading in the library, I was reading in my bunk."
Right.
Like, how many of us can honestly say we use our free time that intensely?
Very few, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I don't. But what's even more amazing
Yeah.
is that later on, Malcolm X actually said
Right.
that he felt a sense of freedom in prison
Wow.
that he'd never felt before.
That's so powerful.
Right, because he was in control of his own learning, his own growth.
Exactly.
Most people, they see prison as like
Yeah.
the ultimate confinement,
Yeah,
but he found freedom there.
he did.
That's really the power of a lifetime.
It really is.
Wow. So he found freedom
Yeah.
in a place that most people consider
Right.
the ultimate loss of freedom.
Yeah.
That's a serious paradox.
It is. It is.
But is this a lifetime
Right.
thing?
Yeah.
Is it just for people in extreme situations?
That's a good question.
I mean, Malcolm X's story is pretty intense,
It is, but no, not at all.
Okay.
Actually, history is full of people who turned like setbacks into opportunities for growth.
Really?
It's like a recurring theme,
Okay, give me some examples. I need some inspiration.
All right, think about Francis Scott Key.
Okay.
He was stuck on a British ship during the War of 1812.
Right.
And what did he do?
I don't know. What?
He wrote the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, wow.
Which later became the U.S. national anthem.
That's amazing.
Talk about finding inspiration in an unexpected place.
Yeah, that's wild. It just goes to show, even when you're physically confined,
Yeah,
your mind can still be free to create.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's Viktor Frankl, the psychologist. He was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps during World War II.
Oh, wow.
And he used that horrific experience to
Yeah.
refine his theories on meaning and suffering. Can you imagine?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are some seriously heavy examples.
They are.
But what about, us regular folks,
Right.
is this alive time something we can actually use in our everyday lives?
Of course.
Oh,
Think
yeah.
about Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming.
Yeah, the guy who created James Bond.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
That classic kids book?
Yeah, I remember that.
He wrote the whole thing by hand.
Really?
While he was on bed rest.
Well,
The doctor told him, no typewriter.
he wasn't allowed.
No.
Wow, that's dedication.
Right. And don't forget Walt Disney.
Okay.
The idea to become a cartoonist.
Disney.
Yeah.
A cartoonist.
That hit him while he was recovering from a rusty nail injury.
Really?
So you see, a lifetime, it's not about waiting for perfect circumstances.
Yeah.
It's about making the most of whatever situation you're in.
Okay.
Right.
So we're seeing a pattern here.
Yeah,
These incredible people all face some tough situations.
absolutely.
But instead of letting those situations, define them,
Right.
they found ways to use their time
Yeah.
and pursue their passion.
Your passions.
It makes you wonder what we could all do
Yeah.
if we really shifted our mindset,
It all comes down to recognizing what Robert Greene calls the ego trap.
Okay.
That's where most of us get stuck.
Okay, the ego trap. That
Yeah.
sounds a little dangerous.
It can be.
What is that exactly?
It's that human instinct to, resist anything uncomfortable, anything we don't want.
Okay.
We focus on what we don't want instead of, what we can do with the situation.
Oh, I see.
And that keeps us stuck in this cycle of negativity.
So it's like our ego is calling the shots.
Exactly.
It's dictating how we experience something
Yeah,
instead of us taking control.
you got it.
And it's keeping us from tapping into this alive time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it. What have you been putting off?
Oh, man.
Because you didn't have time, right?
Right.
Some project, skill you want to learn,
Yeah.
maybe even breaking a bad habit.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Those are all perfect candidates for a lifetime,
You're so right.
Yeah.
I've got a whole list of things
Seem like
that I've been meaning to do,
Yeah,
but I'm like, oh, I'm too busy.
right.
There's this quote
Yeah.
that really drives it home, I think.
So which one?
It says, "This moment is not your life, but it is a moment in your life. How will you use it?"
I love that.
Every single moment, even the ones that seem insignificant,
Right.
they can be meaningful
Absolutely.
if you
Yes.
choose to make them so, right?
It's all about reclaiming that control.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm definitely feeling inspired here.
that's good. That's good.
And that brings us to, I think, the real danger of this whole dead time thinking.
Yeah.
It's not just about wasting time.
No.
It's about choosing actions
Right.
that ultimately don't serve you.
Yeah.
It's like choosing a
sleuthing.
slow path to self-destruction.
Exactly.
Like going back to Malcolm X.
Yeah.
He could have easily used his time in prison to become like a more skilled criminal.
Absolutely. He could have, yeah.
He might have felt a sense of purpose in that.
Yeah, he might have.
But ultimately, it would have been dead time,
It would have.
a wasted opportunity for real growth. So dead time isn't just about being lazy.
Yeah.
It's about choosing activities
Yeah.
that don't move you towards what you really want.
Right.
Robert Greene has this interesting observation about prisons.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
He says they produce a lot of
Oh,
serious thinkers
thinkers, yes.
because what else do they have to do but think?
Exactly.
But he also points out
Yeah.
that prisons produce far more degenerates,
Oh, interesting.
people who let their time and their thoughts
Yeah.
lead them down a negative path
I get that.
because they're using their minds to
Right.
plan their next crime
Exactly.
or just wallowing in resentment
Yeah.
instead of focusing on personal growth.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's something we can all relate to,
Yeah,
even outside of literal prison, right?
absolutely.
Haven't we all gotten stuck
Yeah.
in those negative thought patterns
Yeah,
when things go wrong,
totally.
blaming other people,
Right.
refusing to look inward?
It's so easy to do. It's so easy.
And it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
That's the real danger of
Mhm.
dead time thinking.
Mm.
It traps you in negativity,
Yeah.
prevents you from reaching your full potential.
All right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what if instead of resisting those unwanted situations,
Right.
the ones our egos totally hate,
Yeah.
what if we flipped the script?
Okay.
What if we saw them
Yeah.
as opportunities to finally do those things we keep putting off?
That's it. That's the mindset shift. A lifetime is all about reclaiming your control.
Mm.
Choosing to see any wise situation,
Okay.
no matter how tough,
Right.
as a chance to learn, to grow,
Right.
to move forward.
It's almost like a rebellion against the circumstances that are trying to hold you back.
Exactly. And that's where the real power lies.
Okay.
But we've been talking about these
Yeah.
big life-altering situations,
Right.
like Malcolm X in prison.
Right.
How does this translate to everyday life?
Yeah. For those of us who aren't facing, that level of challenge.
Because let's be real.
Right.
Most of us aren't behind bars.
No.
But I bet we can all relate to feeling like
Oh, yeah.
we're constantly short on time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where dead time can sneak in
Oh, yeah.
these little, almost invisible ways. Think about all those moments we tend to waste without even noticing.
Right.
Waiting in line, commuting, or just mindlessly scrolling through social media.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right.
Those little pockets of time
Yeah.
just vanish.
They do.
So they don't even count.
Right.
But they add up, don't they?
They do. They do. And it's easy to dismiss them as insignificant. But think about it.
Okay.
All that lost time,
Yeah.
it could be used for something that actually matters.
Right.
Something that moves you closer to your goals or helps you grow as a person.
So it's about being more intentional
Exactly.
with those little moments.
Yeah.
Instead of like automatically grabbing your phone
Right.
when you have a free minute.
Yeah.
Maybe use that time to think about a project.
Uh-huh.
Listen to a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even just like
Right.
practice being present and mindful.
Exactly. It doesn't
Right.
have to be some big production.
Right.
Even 5 minutes here and there
Okay.
makes a difference over time.
Okay.
The key is shifting your mindset
Right.
from passively letting time slip away
Yeah.
to actively choosing how you spend it,
Right.
no matter how small the chunk of time is.
It's almost like a mini version
Yeah.
of Malcolm X's transformation.
I love that.
He took what seemed like the most hopeless situation
Yeah.
and turned it into an opportunity for growth.
Right.
And we could do the same thing
We
with those little moments
Yeah,
we usually just write off.
And it highlights the power of your mindset. Malcolm X's story isn't just about reading in prison.
Right.
It's about choosing to see possibility where everyone else sees limitations.
Right.
And that's a choice you can make
Yeah.
in any situation,
Yeah.
big or small.
So how do we make that shift?
Right. That's the question, right?
Where do we start turning
Yeah.
dead time into alive time?
Well, awareness is the first step.
That's okay.
Pay attention to how you spend your time throughout the day.
Okay.
Notice when you're just going through the motions,
Right.
mindlessly scrolling,
Ah.
or letting your thoughts spiral.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are your dead time zones.
So step one
Yeah.
is recognizing those patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
What's next?
Once you know where your dead time is hiding,
Okay.
brainstorm ways to use it intentionally.
Okay.
Think about
Yeah.
what you want to achieve,
Uh-huh.
what skills you'd like to learn,
Right.
or even what habits you'd like to break.
This is where we bring in those things. We
Yeah.
always put off, right,
Exactly.
the projects or goals
Right.
we never seem to have time for.
Those are often the perfect alive time activities.
Okay.
Instead of letting them sit on your to-do list forever,
But, yeah.
you can chip away at them,
Yeah.
even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
And that can be so motivating, right?
It is. It is.
Because you're actually making progress.
Yeah.
Even if it's in small increments,
Yeah.
that feeling of moving forward,
Yeah.
even a little bit,
Uh-huh.
can really keep you going.
Absolutely. And it creates a sense of accomplishment
Yeah.
that spills over
Yeah.
into other parts of your life.
Okay.
Because when you start seeing yourself
Right.
as someone who makes the most of their time,
Yeah.
it boosts your confidence and makes you want to keep making positive changes.
So it's not just about being more productive. No, it's
Mhm.
about feeling more empowered.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And in control of your own life.
And that feeling of empowerment can be incredibly freeing,
Yeah.
especially in a world that often feels like it's moving too fast
Okay.
and demanding too much from you.
You know, that really resonates with me.
Yeah,
We all have those moments
we do.
when we feel overwhelmed by the
So.
demands of modern life.
It's true.
But this alive time concept, it gives you a way
It does.
to reclaim some of that control
Yes.
and find a sense of peace
Yeah,
within the chaos,
I couldn't agree more.
you know?
It's about shifting your focus
Okay.
from what you don't have,
Right.
time, energy, resources, to what you do have
Okay.
and how you can use it to your advantage.
Okay, so we've talked about noticing those dead time moments and brainstorming ways to be more intentional.
Intentional.
But there's still the execution part.
Right.
It's one thing to have good intentions, But actually following through
Yeah.
is a whole other challenge, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's where a lot of people get tripped up.
Okay.
They love the idea of a lifetime,
Yeah.
but they struggle to make it a reality.
So how do we bridge that gap
Okay.
between intention and action?
Yeah.
What are some practical strategies to make sure we're actually turning dead time into a lifetime?
Well, starting small is key.
Okay.
Don't try to change everything overnight.
Right.
Focus on making one small change at a time.
Okay.
For example,
Yeah.
maybe use your commute to
Fine.
listen to a podcast
Well, yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
scrolling through social media.
Right, right.
Or commit to spending 5 minutes each evening
Yeah.
journaling or meditating instead of watching TV.
Okay, so
Yeah.
set realistic goals
Realistic.
and build sustainable habits.
Exactly.
Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Small changes are more likely to stick.
Right.
And as you see those positive results,
Yeah.
you'll be motivated to keep going.
Like that saying,
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
No need to transform your life overnight.
Right.
Just take small,
Yeah.
consistent steps in the right direction.
Another helpful strategy is
wow.
building accountability
Okay.
into the process.
All right, how do we do that?
Tell a friend or family member
Okay.
about your goal
Uh-huh.
and ask them to check in with you
Oh, okay.
on your progress.
Right.
Or join a group
Okay.
or an online community
yeah.
of people who are also working on
Right.
turning dead time into a lifetime.
It's amazing how much
I know,
difference
right?
having that external support can make.
It's huge. It's so easy to let yourself off the hook when
Yeah.
you're only accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
But when someone else is expecting you to follow through,
Right.
it gives you that extra push
Yeah.
to stay on track.
Okay, so we've got some tactics.
Yeah.
Put a lifetime into action.
Yeah.
Start small.
Start small.
Get some
So
support
good. Yeah.
and focus on building those long-term habits.
Exactly.
But what about the times
Yeah.
when dead time is like
Right.
forced on you
Mm-hmm.
and you can't control it?
Yeah.
Like being stuck in traffic
Yeah.
or waiting in a long line.
That's actually where the real magic happens.
Eh.
Those are the moments
look,
that
it's-
test your commitment
Right.
to a lifetime.
Mm.
And it's where you have the chance
Okay.
to really flex those mental muscles
Ah.
and make the most of a situation that
Yeah.
you didn't choose.
So instead of getting frustrated
Right.
and letting those moments
Yeah.
like steal your joy,
Yeah,
you can view them as a challenge.
exactly.
Okay.
It's like turning those little annoyances
Yeah.
into mini training sessions for your mind.
Right, right.
The more you practice finding a lifetime. Yeah.
In those unexpected situations, the
Yeah.
better you get at it
Yeah.
and the more empowered you feel
Yeah.
in all aspects of your life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Turning frustrations into growth opportunities.
Yeah.
That's a serious perspective shift.
It is. It is.
And remember,
Yeah.
a lifetime doesn't always have to be about
Right.
being productive
Right.
in the traditional sense.
Exactly.
It can also be about being present in the moment,
Right.
practicing mindfulness,
Yeah.
or even just letting yourself daydream
Oh, yeah.
and let your imagination run wild.
Because sometimes the best way to use a moment
Yeah.
is just to be in it
Right.
without judgment or expectation.
Exactly.
And that's a form of a lifetime
Yeah.
that can be incredibly restorative,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
in our busy, always-on world.
Yeah.
It's about
Right.
giving your mind a break
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to just be.
This whole dead time versus a lifetime.
It's really got me thinking differently
Yeah.
about how I approach my day.
Mm.
It's like
Right.
looking at everything with fresh eyes,
Yeah.
you know?
It is a powerful shift, isn't it? And the best part is,
Yeah.
it's available to everyone.
Right.
You don't need
Uh-huh.
special skills or anything
Yeah.
to start turning those wasted moments into something more.
Okay.
All you need is the willingness
Right.
to make that choice.
So for you listening out there,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway here?
Oh, that's a good question.
What should you be
Yeah.
walking away with from
Yeah.
this deep dive?
I think the most important thing is remembering that dead time happens to us all.
Right.
It's just part of life.
Yeah.
But you have the power to decide
Okay.
how you react to it.
Mm.
You can let it get you down,
Right.
or you can use it as fuel for growth.
Right. Right.
The choice is yours.
It's like that saying,
Oh, yeah.
cast down your bucket where you are.
I love that one.
Don't wait
For the perfect time.
Exactly.
Or a ton of free time, right?
Yep.
Use what you have right now in this moment.
And it's not just about
Yeah.
checking things off your to-do list.
Right.
It's about
Yeah.
taking back control of your time
Okay,
in your
yeah,
life. It's
yes,
about
yeah.
finding freedom
Yeah.
and purpose.
Right.
Even when things aren't easy.
So think about it this way.
Okay.
Could changing how you see those dead time moments
Right.
be the key to unlocking a level of freedom
Yeah,
that even Malcolm X found surprising.
it's a good question.
That project you've been putting off,
Mm-hmm.
that skill you want to learn,
Yeah.
that habit you want to change.
Yeah.
What if those wasted moments
Right.
were actually the perfect opportunity
Hey,
to finally tackle them?
it's an invitation to stop going through the motions
Oh, you're right.
and start living with intention,
Okay.
to like squeeze the most out of every moment.
Yeah. No matter how small or seemingly insignificant.
You never know
Right.
what amazing things you might achieve
Exactly.
when you start turning dead time into alive time.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to think about those possibilities. Until next time, keep diving deep.